Amritpal Singh reports from New Delhi. At least 9 people have died, in fact, with dozens more wounded as Israeli forces continue to raid the West Bank city of Jenin in what's being seen as the biggest operation in decades. Sarah Coates reports.
Children's screams and the sound of stun grenades pierce the night as thousands of Israeli troops, tanks and bulldozers move into the city of Jenin, forcing hundreds of families to flee.
We came here to the hospital. They let us leave our houses. Someone used the ambulance headphones and told us to leave the house as the soldiers were standing near the ambulance and they knew that we had to leave.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is defending the raid as a counter-terrorism measure.
We will continue with this operation as long as required to restore calm and security to the people of Israel.
Denounced as a new war crime by Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, who's appealing to world leaders to intervene. The Palestinian Authority saying long-standing security agreements with Israel are now void.
In the
light of the Israeli non-compliance of the Sharm el-Sheikh understandings, the leadership announces that these understandings no longer have any value and cease to exist.
Diplomats and world leaders are urging restraint.
We do see an urgent need for all parties to avoid further escalation in the West Bank. We do, as I said earlier, support Israel's right to self-defense and condemn the recent terrorist attacks unequivocally, but want to see the protection of civilians in all cases.
As protests in Gaza and neighbouring Jordan intensify, with Amman calling for any remaining ties with Israel to be terminated.
DTN correspondent Mia Alberti joins us from Lebanon. Mia, what's the latest at the south?
Well, we just heard that there is a 10th victim to this Israeli raid, so 10 people are now confirmed dead after this more than 24 hours raid. Reminder that this started at roughly 1 a.m. local time on Monday. It is now around 11 a.m. on Tuesday. And so we are still seeing active fighting in Jenin. We are seeing residents still fleeing their homes. According to the Palestinian Red Cross, around 3,000 people have now left Jenin. A lot of families went through the night in schools, sleeping in schools or in hospitals or any other community centers away from their homes, not knowing what is happening. Sometimes the internet has been cut off, so a lot of people are not able to communicate with its family members. The Israeli Defense Forces, however, say that they have allowed all of the women and children to flee. But the Palestinians are accusing Israelis not to have enough time, not to have enough warning time to leave, for civilians to leave Jenin. The Israeli Defense Forces say that they continue to search these terrorism cells, that they have during the night arrested 120 people suspects of terrorism in the area. They have also destroyed arms depots and storage units that were belonging to these militias in the area. We have also heard from the Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas taking responsibility for some of the death. 4 of the people that have died are belonging to the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and 1 person is belonging to Hamas. But now, for residents, what this means is that there is still active fighting. We are still hearing reports from people living there of intense gunfire, of stun grenades. But there are also, as Israel says, that this is solely a military operation, that it is not targeting civilians. There are a lot of residents and NGOs like the Red Cross and the Palestinian Authority accusing Israel of war crimes, like you mentioned before. We have seen videos, worrying videos of Israel forces attacking, for example, journalists, destroying their cameras. Just now, a few moments ago, we saw videos of Israel Defense Forces throwing stun grenades at people at the door of the local hospital. And so there are these concerns that this operation is going way beyond its military purposes, and there are a lot of accusations from the Palestinian side that what Israel is doing is actually a war crime.
So it's a large-scale military operation. You've told us about the versions of both the sides. Now, how long, Mia, can we expect this military operation to last?
Well, just a few moments ago, we heard from the Israeli Defense Forces saying that they still have at least 10 targets of these suspected terrorism pockets that they want to search and destroy in Jenin. They said that all of their units that are still inside of the region have received orders to search and destroy these units. And so at least during Tuesday we will see the continuation of this operation. Like we heard before, we heard Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that this operation will last as long as it's necessary to combat these terrorism cells in the area. But there are a lot of concerns that this could create some sort of retaliation, for example, from the Palestinian Islamic Jihad or from Hamas. And this is all happening. Israel continues to move forward with the operation as we are hearing a lot of condemnation from not only from Arab countries but also from the US. The State Department said last night that it is urging Israel to stop this escalation of violence. We also heard from the UN Secretary General. The UN has warned Israel many times to stop this kind of settler violence, urging Israel to follow international law and to protect civilians' lives at all costs. But for now, for Tuesday, we are expecting the operation to continue as long as Israel considers that these terrorism targets are still active.
Right, Mia Alberti reporting from Beirut. After weeks of heavy fighting, Ukraine's defense minister says